Hello there, my dear friend. My name is Noah Miles, and welcome to the Moonlight Reverie. This is your guided sleep story for tonight. A space where your thoughts can soften, your breath can deepen, and your body can finally rest. I invite you to close your eyes, if they aren't closed already, and let the rhythm of my voice be your companion tonight. Wherever you are listening from, your bed, your sofa, or the floor beside a window cracked open to the wind, you are safe here, you are welcome here. You are allowed to let go, to release, to drift. Tonight, I'll take you on a gentle journey. A bedtime story about a man named Cliff, who lives in a modest little hut by the sea, far away from the noise and demands of the world. This guided sleep tale will carry you through ocean breezes, warm sands, and the calm of an unhurried life. So, if this story brings you comfort, I invite you to like, subscribe, and leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from. And now, let's begin to settle. Let's begin to breathe. And let's begin to dream. The first light of dawn spills gently across the horizon, brushing the ocean's surface with streaks of rose gold and silver. The waves, calm and consistent, roll onto the shore like the earth's steady exhale. Cliff sits cross-legged on the warm sand, facing the open sea, his posture relaxed, his breath slow, his eyes still a little heavy with sleep, reflect the soft glow of the morning. He greets the day without urgency. There is no alarm clock, no list of demands. Just the sun, the tide, and the quiet rhythm of this life he has built. Behind him stands his beach hut, a sturdy, humble structure crafted from driftwood and pieces of the past. Weathered planks, sun-bleached and salt-softened, form the walls of his small sanctuary. It isn't perfect, but it is enough. Cliff's mornings always begin this way, with stillness, with gratitude, with the sea. He slowly rises from the sand, brushes off the tiny grains clinging to his linen pants, and stretches his arms toward the sky. The sun touches his skin with warmth, and the breeze carries the scent of salt and earth and memory. He walks barefoot across the sand, back toward the hut, where his routine begins. In a corner near the entrance, he keeps a tidy pile of kindling and small driftwood pieces he's gathered over time. Kneeling beside the fire pit just outside his home, Cliff arranges the wood with gentle precision. His movements slow and practiced. With a flick of a match, a small flame flickers to life. It crackles softly, casting a pale orange glow that dances against the morning light. There's comfort in the fire, a kind of primitive companionship. He retrieves a metal pot from inside, fills it with fresh water collected from a nearby stream, and sets it over the flames. The hiss and pop of fire meeting water is a familiar song now. While the water heats, Cliff tends to the inside of his hut. He sweeps the sand from the wooden floor, folds a light blanket that he used the night before, and places a few belongings back where they belong. There isn't much: a cup, a knife, a small stack of books, a woven mat, and a weathered journal with pages that flutter in the ocean breeze. The simplicity is intentional. Every object in his hut has earned its place. Every gesture in his routine is a quiet declaration: I am here. I am free. I am enough. Outside, the water begins to bubble. Cliff opens a small tin of tea leaves, inhales their subtle aroma, and adds them to the pot. The scent of earth and herbs mixes with salt and smoke, swirling in the air like incense for the soul. He pours the tea into a handmade mug, its edges smooth from years of use, and takes a slow sip. The warmth seeps into him. He breathes in, breathes out, and lets the moment settle. With the tea warming his hands and the fire crackling gently beside him, Cliff reaches for the old leather-bound journal resting on the stool nearby. Its edges are soft, the corners curled, the pages full of ink and memory. He opens to a fresh page. At the top, he writes the date, then the time, and then, as always, his location by the sea. He pauses, takes a slow sip, and lets the words come. No effort, no filter, just truth. Day 752. He writes, "It still surprises me how deeply peaceful this life feels." His hand moves slowly, forming each letter with intention. I sometimes think about who I was back then. The words continue. In the city, in the glass towers, wearing a tie that never felt like mine. He remembers it all, the sterile hallways, the endless hum of fluorescent lights, the hurried greetings, and the quiet loneliness that always followed him home. I chased a version of myself that didn't exist. He writes, I showed up. I smiled. I performed. But I never felt alive. His thoughts are gentle now, not bitter. There is no resentment, only understanding. The day I left was the day I finally breathed. He scribes. I remember stepping out of the elevator for the last time. The silence that met me wasn't empty. It was full of beginnings. He looks up from the journal, eyes scanning the sea, remembering the long bus ride that took him far away, the long walk that brought him here, to this quiet, hidden place where the land meets the tide. I found this cove by accident, he writes, but maybe it found me. Building the hut had been grueling. The sun was relentless. The work was slow. His hands blistered and bled, but it felt right. Every nail he hammered, every plank he lifted, was a step away from everything he wasn't, and a step toward everything he is. He flips back a few pages, scanning past entries, some short, some sprawling. His journey in ink, his transformation in time. I still think about the people I left behind. He writes, now, some understood, others called it reckless. But how can reclaiming your peace ever be reckless? His handwriting softens toward the bottom of the page. The words less structured, more like breath. This place has taught me that joy isn't loud. he writes. It doesn't need an audience. It whispers in waves, in wind. In the quiet moments when you realize you don't miss what you left behind, he closes the journal, holding it for a second longer than usual. The act of writing, like morning tea, has become his ritual, a quiet space to honor where he's been and where he's going. The ocean continues its lullaby in the background. Cliff leans back against a worn cushion, eyes half closed, body still. This, he thinks. This is the life I chose, and I would choose it again. The tea now finished, and the journal set aside. Cliff stands and stretches once more. The fire has burned down to glowing embers, and the morning has deepened into full light. Above him, the sky is painted a soft, endless blue, scattered with thin clouds, drifting lazily toward the horizon. The tide is low, revealing a vast ribbon of shoreline that sparkles with morning dew and memories not yet formed. Cliff begins his walk, each step pressing gently into the damp sand, leaving behind prints that the ocean will soon reclaim. With no destination in mind, he moves slowly, intentionally. This time of day is for observation, for discovery. The beach is a gallery, and the tide is its curator. He stops occasionally, drawn to a seashell shaped like a spiral galaxy. A piece of driftwood bleached into silver curves. A smooth stone, cool to the touch, veined with tiny crystals. Each object he collects holds a kind of quiet magic, not for its value, but for its story, its journey, its presence. Cliff places his findings into a canvas satchel slung gently over his shoulder. He doesn't gather much, just a few small things. Enough to decorate the ledge by his window, or line the path leading to his hut. The ocean breeze tousles his hair, and the sound of distant gulls calls overhead. The world feels wide and kind. He walks until the curve of the beach widens, revealing a familiar stretch of sand he loves most quiet, open, framed by smooth black rocks and wind-twisted trees. Here, he feels it, the impulse, the pull, the call of the sea. Setting down his satchel and folding his journal inside a dry towel, Cliff approaches the shoreline. The water is impossibly clear, shimmering in the sunlight, its surface dancing with refracted light. He wades in slowly, letting the waves kiss his feet, then his calves, then his waist. Each step is a release, each ripple a welcome. When he is deep enough, he leans forward and floats. The ocean wraps around him not just as water, but as memory, as mother, as mystery. He moves with the tide, slow and effortless, weightless, timeless. His arms slice gently through the water, his legs trailing like seagrass in the current. Above him, the sun beams down, warming the back of his neck. Below, the sea floor shimmers with shifting light, a canvas of sand and scattered stones. He floats on his back now, eyes closed. The water cradles him like a lullaby. There is no noise here, no past, no future, only the now. After some time, Cliff turns and swims back toward shore. The swim has filled him with something he can't name, only feel. A kind of renewal, a silent joy, a remembering of self. As he emerges from the water, droplets slide down his skin, catching light like morning dew. He walks slowly back to where he left his things and sits on the warm sand, letting the sun do its work, drying his skin, warming his core, and holding him in that perfect, suspended peace. The warmth of the sun still clings to Cliff's skin as he leans back on his elbows, gaze lifted toward the sky. The clouds are drifting slower now. Or maybe time itself has softened somewhere in the distance. Footsteps press into the sand light, unhurried, familiar. Cliff turns his head and sees her Carl, his closest friend on this stretch of coastline. Her beach hut is a few minutes' walk north, nestled behind a dune and decorated with wind chimes and strings of seashells that sway like whispers in the wind. She raises a hand. Morning. Cliff. She calls out, her voice like warm tea on a cold day. Cliff lifts a hand in return. Morning. Carl. Come join me. She walks over and lowers herself onto the sand beside him. For a moment, they don't speak. They just sit. Two souls, breathing in sync with the sea. The waves offer background music, a rhythm older than memory. Carl picks up a shell, turns it over in her palm. How was your swim? She asks. Perfect, Cliff replies, a soft smile tugging at his lips. The ocean was so calm this morning. It always feels like it's washing something away. Carl nods, her gaze following the waterline. That's why I stay here, she says quietly. The sea doesn't ask questions. It just listens. They fall silent again, but this time it's not emptiness. It's presence. The kind of silence that holds meaning, that says, I see you. Carl finally speaks. You know, I've been thinking lately about how much has changed since I came here. Back in the city, I used to rush through everything: meals, conversations, even sleep. I never gave myself time to just be. Cliff watches her, sensing the truth behind her words. I feel the same, he says. It's like this place gives you permission to slow down, to find beauty in ordinary things. Carl's smile is full of peace. And it's not just the place, is it? It's the people. The way we've all found each other out here, this little community. We may be scattered across the beach, but we're not alone. Cliff nods. That's what surprised me the most. He admits, I thought I was running away from people, but really, I was running toward the right people. They sit a while longer, speaking of simple joys, the perfect shell found at low tide, the way sea oats dance in the wind, how laughter sounds different under an open sky. Then Carl stands and brushes sand from her legs. I should get back. But let's meet up again later, maybe by the bonfire, Cliff grins. Wouldn't miss it. She waves and walks down the beach, leaving behind footprints and warmth. Cliff watches her go, feeling the deep comfort of shared simplicity. This life, he thinks, isn't just about solitude. It's about choosing your circle slowly, intentionally, and with heart. Cliff makes his way back along the shoreline, the sun now climbing higher, its light diffused by a curtain of soft, pale clouds. Each step is slow, deliberate, as though the sand itself is asking him to linger a little longer. As he approaches his beach hut, the familiar figure is waiting on the porch, curled into a perfect circle, eyes half closed in a state of feline meditation. Hello. Luna, Cliff says, voice soft, full of affection. The little cat lifts her head, gives a silent meow, and stretches luxuriously before padding over to greet him. She's been with him since his first month here, a stray with a cautious heart and quiet eyes who slowly learn to trust. Now, they are a pair, a team. Cliff scoops a small bowl of food from the corner of the hut and places it near her favourite sunlit spot. Luna eats contentedly, her tail flicking in slow motion. Watching her, Cliff feels something simple and grounding settle in his chest, a reminder that even the smallest acts of care can shape a life. He steps back inside the hut. The air inside, slightly cooler than outside. He sets down his satchel, arranges the collected shells on a wooden shelf, and then reaches for his fishing gear. Not long after, he's perched on his favourite rocky outcrop that juts out into the ocean. The water sparkles beneath him, vast and inviting. Cliff casts his line and waits. There's no rush here. No pressure. Fishing, for him, is meditation in motion. The hours drift. He watches seabirds soar, feels the breeze comb through his hair. Notices clouds gathering like thoughts, then passing just as freely. Eventually, a tug on the line, a gentle, living weight pulling back. He reels it in slowly, patient, respectful, and soon he's cradling a silver-scaled fish, glistening like starlight Back at the hut, Cliff prepares a simple meal: fire-roasted fish, a squeeze of lemon from the little grove inland, and a handful of wild herbs he's foraged nearby. He eats slowly, seated on the porch, Luna curled by his feet. The sea whispers its endless lullaby. The breeze sways the chimes above the doorway, and peace lingers. When the last bite is savoured, Cliff feels the weight of the morning, not exhaustion, but a gentle heaviness, a fullness, a readiness to rest. He rises, stretches, and moves toward the hammock strung between two sturdy posts just outside the hut. The fabric dips beneath him, welcoming his shape. Cradling his frame, he swings his legs up, settles into the rhythm. The hammock sways, and so does his breath. Eyes closed, hands folded behind his head. Each inhale longer, each exhale softer. The sun warms his skin. The ocean breathes beside him, and the world, for now, holds nothing but this moment. He drifts gently, naturally, into a nap, one that is untroubled, dream-filled, and deserved. Above him, gulls wheel silently in the sky. Beside him, Luna curls once more, standing guard as guardian and friend. Man, cat, sea, sky. Everything is exactly as it should be. As the afternoon drifts quietly into evening, the colours of the sky begin to shift. The golden light softens, becoming warmer, deeper, turning the sea into a mirror of pinks and burnt orange. Cliff stirs from his nap, the hammock still gently swaying beneath him. He blinks slowly, stretching like Luna, who lifts her head in tandem as if waking from the same dream. There's a lightness in Cliff's chest, the kind that follows true rest. He knows what comes next. It's bonfire night, a gathering that has, over time, become a quiet tradition among the small beachside community. Cliff rises and steps inside the hut. He gathers a few simple things: a woolen blanket with frayed edges, a small cooler with a few drinks tucked inside, and a bundle of driftwood he collected earlier in the week, dry and ready for flame. Luna remains on the porch, her eyes soft and content. "You staying behind tonight?" Cliff asks, smiling. She blinks, slow and regal, before curling back into her spot. Cliff gives her a gentle pat and begins his walk along the beach. The sand is cool now, and the breeze carries the scent of smoke, faint but familiar. Up ahead, the glow of the bonfire begins to appear, flickering warmly against the encroaching twilight. He arrives to find familiar faces already gathered. Carl is there, her long cardigan flowing in the wind. So is Marco, tuning his guitar by the edge of the fire. Others wave, nod, smile, the kind of welcome that doesn't need words. Evening. "Cliff," Carl calls, her voice lit with joy. "Evening," he replies, setting down his bundle and adding his driftwood to the growing pile near the flames. The fire crackles to life, tall and warm, casting dancing shadows across the sand. It becomes a center not just of heat, but of connection. People sit in a loose circle, some on logs, others on folded blankets. There's a rhythm here, laughter, quiet conversation, the occasional pluck of a guitar string. Marco starts to play a gentle melody. No lyrics, just notes, notes that seem to float up into the darkening sky and settle among the stars. Cliff finds a seat beside Carl. They share a drink. They share silence. And then, slowly, they share words. Stories flow, some light-hearted, others layered with meaning. Tales of old lives, lost jobs, found loves, quiet revelations. Carl speaks of her first night here, how the ocean seemed too loud at first, too unfamiliar, until she realized it was just saying, "You're home." Cliff nods, recalling his own first week. The awkwardness of silence, the detox from noise. How he'd watched the stars that night and felt something inside finally settle. Laughter ripples through the group. Not forced, not hurried, just shared, like firelight. There's a moment when no one speaks, only the guitar plays, and the sea adds its eternal percussion. And in that moment, they all feel it, the power of presence, the magic of enough. As the fire burns lower, the conversations soften, voices drop to whispers, blankets are pulled tighter, heads lean against shoulders. Eventually, the group begins to part, one by one heading back to their huts with smiles and lingering warmth. Cliff hugs Carl gently. "Same time next week," she says. "Wouldn't miss it," he replies. And with that, he walks back along the beach, guided by moonlight and memory. The firelight still flickers in Cliff's mind as he walks the moonlit beach. The stars above are brilliant tonight, scattered like spilled sugar across an ink-dark sky. The tide hums a low, eternal rhythm. Each step he takes presses gently into the cool sand, and each breath feels deeper, slower, softer. By the time he reaches his hut, the world is hushed. And there she is, Luna, perched like a sentinel on the porch, eyes glowing softly in the moonlight. "Hey, little one," he murmurs. She rises, arches her back, then trots forward and rubs against his leg. Cliff bends down and scoops her into his arms. He holds her there for a moment, heart to heart, and feels a quiet joy rise in him. Inside the hut, the air is cool and still. He lights a small lantern, its golden glow wrapping the space in warmth. The items around him are few, but they tell his story. A seashell from his first walk, a cup from his first fire, a feather left behind by some silent, passing bird. He sets Luna gently on the floor, where she resumes her routine, circling her blanket before curling into a familiar pose. Cliff moves slowly now, readying for rest. He folds his blanket at the foot of the bed. He closes the window shutters just enough to let moonlight spill through in silver slants. He steps out to extinguish the fire, now glowing embers, and listens for a few heartbeats to the sea. Back inside, he returns to the hammock, his cocoon, his cradle, his favorite place in the world to drift away. He climbs in gently, letting the fabric sway beneath him. The night holds him in its quiet arms. Above him, through a crack in the shutters, the stars blink. He inhales, exhales, and lets go. His mind begins its slow, unraveling thoughts, loosening like boats released from a dock. They float outward, gentle and harmless, until they vanish into the sea of sleep. I am safe, he thinks. I am home. Luna lets out a soft sigh from her corner of the room. The wind hums quietly through the cracks in the wood. A night bird calls once, then falls silent. And Cliff lets go completely. He surrenders to the rhythm of waves, to the breath of the earth, to the grace of a life well chosen. Sleep comes not like a thief, but like a friend who has been waiting all day. Patiently, lovingly, to guide him home